From a struggling young activist in Brooklyn to one of the most powerful voices in American politics, Bernie Sanders didn't just run for president, he sparked a movement. Fighting billionaires, challenging the system, and inspiring millions, his journey is not about power. It's about purpose. Stay with us because this is the real story of Bernie Sanders, the man who turned ideas into a revolution. Bernard Sanders, widely known as Bernie Sanders, was born on September 8, 1941, in Brooklyn, New York, into a modest working-class Jewish family whose roots traced back to Eastern Europe, and from an early age, the environment of economic struggle, inequality, and cultural identity would shape his worldview in profound and lasting ways, as his father Elias Sanders immigrated from Poland with little money and worked as a paint salesman, while his mother Dorothy Glassberg Sanders, born in New York to immigrant parents, instilled in him a deep awareness of social justice and the fragility of economic security. And growing up in a small rent-controlled apartment, Sanders witnessed firsthand the stark contrast between wealth and poverty, an experience that would become the foundation of his lifelong political philosophy centered on economic fairness and social equity. As he attended James Madison High School, where he was not only academically engaged but also actively involved in athletics and student government, demonstrating early leadership qualities, and even then he showed a growing interest in political issues, influenced by global events such as World War II and the Holocaust, which deeply impacted his understanding of injustice and human suffering, leading him to question systems of power and inequality. And after graduating, Sanders briefly attended Brooklyn College before transferring to the University of Chicago, where his political awakening truly began, as he became deeply involved in the civil rights movement, joining organizations such as the Congress of Racial Equality and the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, where he actively participated in protests against segregation and racial discrimination, including sit-ins and demonstrations that challenged institutional racism in housing and education. And during this time he was even arrested for protesting segregation, an experience that reinforced his commitment to activism and nonviolent resistance, shaping his belief that ordinary citizens could challenge unjust systems through collective action. And after graduating in 1964 with a degree in political science, Sanders returned to New York and spent several years exploring different career paths, working various jobs including as a carpenter, filmmaker, and freelance writer, while continuing to develop his political ideology rooted in democratic socialism, a philosophy advocating for political democracy alongside social ownership and strong public services. And his early political career began in the early 1970s when he joined the Liberty Union Party in Vermont, running for various offices including governor and U.S. Senate. Though he initially faced repeated electoral defeats, these campaigns allowed him to build grassroots support and refine his message centered on economic justice, environmental protection, and opposition to corporate influence in politics. And despite these early losses, Sanders remained persistent, demonstrating a resilience that would define his career. And his breakthrough came in 1981 when he ran for mayor of Burlington, Vermont, and won by just 10 votes, a narrow but historic victory that marked the beginning of his rise in American politics. And as mayor, Sanders transformed Burlington through progressive policies, focusing on affordable housing, community development, environmental sustainability, and public engagement, earning a reputation as an effective and principled leader who prioritized the needs of ordinary citizens over corporate interests. And his administration was marked by innovative programs such as community land trusts, which helped preserve affordable housing. And he also strengthened the city's waterfront and supported local businesses, proving that progressive governance could deliver tangible results. And his popularity led to multiple re-elections, solidifying his status as a respected political figure. And in 1990, Sanders made history by winning election to the U.S. House of Representatives as an independent, becoming the first non-Republican elected to Congress from Vermont in decades. And during his tenure in the House, he gained a reputation as a fierce advocate for working-class Americans, consistently opposing policies that favored the wealthy and large corporations. And he spoke out against income inequality, corporate greed, and cuts to social programs, often standing alone in his positions but gradually gaining national attention for his unwavering principles. And in 2006, Sanders was elected to the U.S. Senate, where he continued to champion progressive causes, including universal health care, free public college, workers' rights, and climate action. And he became known for his passionate speeches, including a famous 8-hour filibuster opposing tax cuts for the wealthy, which highlighted his dedication to economic justice and earned him widespread recognition, and his influence grew significantly during the presidency of Barack Obama, with whom he often collaborated while also maintaining his independent stance, and in 2015, Sanders announced his candidacy for the Democratic presidential nomination, a decision that surprised many political observers but quickly gained momentum, as his campaign focused on issues such as healthcare reform, student debt, and income inequality resonated with millions of Americans, particularly young voters, and despite being initially considered a long-shot candidate, Sanders built a powerful grassroots movement fueled by small-dollar donations and volunteer support, challenging the establishment candidate Hillary Clinton in a highly competitive primary race. And although he ultimately did not secure the nomination, his campaign fundamentally reshaped the Democratic Party, pushing it toward more progressive policies and demonstrating the viability of grassroots political movements in the modern era. And Sanders continued his political activism, advocating for policies such as Medicare for All and the Green New Deal, and in 2020, he once again ran for president, entering the race as a leading progressive candidate, and once again he inspired millions with his message, winning several early primary contests and building a broad coalition of supporters, though he eventually suspended his campaign and endorsed Joe Biden, emphasizing the importance of unity in defeating Donald Trump. And throughout his career, Sanders has remained consistent in his beliefs, advocating for economic justice, social equality, and political reform, and his impact extends beyond legislation, as he has inspired a new generation of activists and politicians, contributing to the rise of progressive movements across the United States. And despite criticism from opponents who label his ideas as too radical, Sanders has maintained strong public support, demonstrating that his message resonates with a significant portion of the population, and his legacy is defined not only by his political achievements but also by his role in reshaping the national conversation around inequality, healthcare, and the role of government. And today, as one of the most recognizable and influential figures in American politics, Bernie Sanders continues to advocate for policies aimed at creating a more just and equitable society, proving that a lifetime of dedication to principles and persistence in the face of adversity can leave a lasting impact on a nation and inspire change for generations to come.